have more than twice the incidence of coronary disease compared with those with high control, and there was no association in men. And this was adjusted for age, household social position, and sorry, that should be control at work, and coronary risk factors. Social supports. There's a huge literature now on this subject, that people with more supportive social relations, more participation in social networks, have longer lives, greater longevity, and reduced mortality. We've also been looking at another factor in the workplace, effort-reward imbalance. And the reason I put it here under the label of social supports is the whole idea that what's important about participating in society is having appropriate feedback, reciprocal relations. I do something for you, you do something for me. I put out effort in the workplace, I get reward for that effort. And that reward may be esteem, it may be status, and it may be money. And we use all three in characterizing it. So here are people with high effort and low reward, low effort and high reward, nice if you can have it, and those with high effort and low reward have more than twice the incidence of coronary disease, and that's independent of low control. I've been talking a great deal about the social gradient, but whole societies can benefit or suffer from low control and low social cohesion. Japan, as I showed you in a previous slide, has the longest life expectancy in the world. This is one measure of social cohesion, if you like, which is income inequalities. This is the share of total household income enjoyed by the top 20% and the bottom 20%. So the highest 20% get 35.7% of total household income in Japan, and the lowest 20% get 10.6%, so it's about 3.5 times is the ratio. In the United Kingdom, it's closer to 7 times. In the US, it's more like 8 times, and as I'm sure you know, in Brazil, it's 30 times. The highest 20% have 30 times the income, or the share of total household income of the bottom 20%. So that's one mark of social cohesion, and Japan's long life expectancy goes along with a narrower distribution of income. It also goes along with lower crime rates. This is crime rates in the USA and Japan per 100,000 of population. Murder, robbery, rape, aggravated assault, burglary, all many-fold higher in the United States than in Japan. And there's a good case to be made that those high crime rates are related to high inequalities and low social cohesion. And at the other end of the scale, a poor community that seems to do well despite low income is the Indian southern state of Kerala. These are the poorest states of Kerala. Income in 1985 dollars, around $1,000. Infant mortality in Kerala was 17 per 1,000 live births, despite having this extremely low national income or state income, and much lower in Kerala than these other poor Indian states. What's different about Kerala? Look at female literacy, 66%, where in the other states it's a third or lower. Females married under the age of 18, 3% in Kerala, much higher in some other states. The status of women, the inclusion of women in the wider society is much more in evidence in Kerala than it is elsewhere, with education standards being high in Kerala generally, and particularly high for women. And I think that is one of the routes to low mortality. At the other end of the scale, we see these communities that have been suffering, and this is life expectancy at age 15, so taking out infant and child mortality in Europe for men, 1970 to 2001. There's the European Union, the countries of Central and Eastern Europe, the former communist countries, and you can see that this gap between these former communist countries and Western Europe, the European Union, opened up considerably over the period from 1970 to 1990. Things got a bit worse in the early 1990s in those countries, and then their life expectancy started to increase in parallel with those in the West. But there's still a 6-year gap, even in 2002. And 6 years of life expectancy at age 15 is enormous. In the Soviet Union, for the former Soviet Union and then Russia, they've had this roller coaster ride, 7-year drop in life expectancy from 1989 to about 1994. It increased, the ruble crisis in 1998, it fell again, and now there's a glimmer of hope that it's starting to rise. And so here, looking at Russia, we've got 5, 10, 15, more than 15-year difference in life expectancy at age 15. Absolutely enormous. And one way we've been looking at this is to ask, how much control do people have over their lives in these different East European populations? And so we took small samples of the population and measured degree of control over their lives, and then correlated that with all-cause mortality. So in the Czech Republic, people had higher degrees of control over their lives and have low mortality. In Russia, people had less control over their lives and higher mortality. And there's a very clear inverse relation. Higher control of the population, lower mortality. And coming back to the social supports argument, we see this in all of these Central and East European countries. This is the Czech Republic. Single, divorced, widowed, and married. Married people have, of course, lower mortality than single, divorced, and widowed. This is 1960 to 61. The disadvantage of being unmarried increased sharply. At a time that mortality was going up, it went up more sharply for single, divorced, and widowed, and that disadvantage continued. So it looked like single men were particularly at risk, and it's plausible that that relates to less social support. I come back to Amartya Sen in thinking about these societies. He says the success of an economy and of a society cannot be separated from the lives that the members of the society are able to lead. We not only value living well and satisfactorily, but also appreciate having control over our lives. I think this issue of control is fundamental to the social gradient in health, and I think it's also fundamental to what's been happening to explain differences among different countries. And it's precisely to take these ideas seriously, these and others, that we've now involved in this commission that Paul Baltes mentioned, the Commission on Social Determinants of Health, set up by the World Health Organization, which I have the honor to chair. And we said, what good does it do to treat people's illnesses, then send them back to the conditions that made them sick? And what we now want to do is try to take our understanding of social determinants of health and put it into practice to improve people's lives. Thank you.